Hey everybody, welcome back to Guys on Sports. If this is your first time tuning in, the set looks normal to you. If you are a repeat viewer, that we thank you for doing that. This is a brand new set. We've got a lot of fun, cool stuff planned. It's not finished, it's a work in progress, but we're back on the ground sitting. We've got a state-of-the-art desk, state-of-the-art technology.
State-of-the-art.
This is real grass that we water every day. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Let us know how our takes are for this episode. Let us know if you like the set. We're wanting to improve for your viewing pleasure.
They're good. The takes are good.
Oh, takes are great.
They're good and hot.
We have been doing a series of fantasy football MVPs and LVPs throughout the entire league. We finished all of AFC. We're working on NFC, and we are on the NFC South. We're covering the booms, the players that we think are worth the squeeze, the best players from that division fantasy-wise. We're also going to be talking about least valuable players, the players that we think are busts, not worth where you're going to have to draft them. They're not going to pan out for you. Before we get into any of that, a little TikTok take.
Time to check my social media, yeah. To see who loves me online.
All right, so we have two comments. The comments are both on a clip about Rocky talking about the exact stats of Marvin Harrison Jr., which I don't know how many fantasy podcasts you guys listen to, but not a lot of times do you get exact numbers. We told you exactly what to expect from the rookie that's playing in Arizona, and we got some comments.
Balls on the line, huh?
Oh yeah, he was putting his nuts on the brand new state-of-the-art table.
Yeah, I put it out there, and I'm okay with it.
This first comment is from, I'm gonna say, Gussie Gell.
You don't mispronounce it.
It's Gussie, which makes me think like bussy, but with a G, and then Gell. Last Cardinal fan standing. So people think that you love MHJ so much that you are a Cardinals fan, Rocky.
Yeah, that is untrue. I actually have a disdain for the Arizona Cardinals. I don't know. I just don't like it.
Oh, wait, they're like that's like the Panthers last year?
Yeah, doesn't make a lot of sense. Yeah, I don't like it. I don't like any team that moved from their, city.
So the Browns.
Well,
what if their city couldn't support them and they don't want to build them a city?
That's almost never the case. But anyways, yeah, I put it out there, and I am not a Cardinals fan, but I don't hate Kyler, and I think together it's going to be pretty good.
I think I picked Kyler last week as my MVP, right?
You sure did.
Yep.
Where he's going. I mean, the guy, I really do think he's going to have a great year, because I just think the upside on the ground and the weapons around them is going to be fun offense.
Yeah. I think they're going to move the ball, and I don't think the problem last year when they were moving, it wasn't in them scoring until they got injuries and until their quarterback kind of was Clayton Tune, a 5th-round rookie. So
yeah, it's tough. The second comment is from Mr. Blonde 16 from the same clip. Said if he watched him in college, he might not feel that way. What was yours?
Did you watch him in college?
If I watched...
if you watched Marvin Harrison Jr. in college, you might not feel that way.
Yeah, it tells me he did not watch him in college.
Dang, you fixing him as he's talking?
Yeah, that's what it tells me.
It's kind of cute.
I could bury him with stats.
Do it.
Bury him.
Bury this guy online. This is what this part of the show's for.
Yeah, we had Kyle McCord, who was an average quarterback. In fact, he switched to a new school, and he didn't even make it in the top 20 QBs for this year in college football. Every single person knew. Everybody on defense, the defensive coordinators knew the ball was going to Marvin Harrison, and he still had almost double-digit touchdowns, 1,000-yard season. The guy is a man. He's probably the crispest route runner I've ever seen. He's not overwhelming speed, but he has good speed. I think he checks out around 4.4, which is plenty quick enough. But he catches anything near him. And so that, to me, says you did not watch him in college, or you're a Michigan fan and therefore scum of the earth.
The guy is a man. Rocky, June 11th, 2024. That's a quote. The guy is a man.
Whoa.
That's going in.
All right, we're getting used to our set here.
Crash it into the locker.
Hey, we're getting used to our set.
Yeah, we're getting used
That's
to it.
That's fair. Okay, cool. That was TikTok Take. Thank you for commenting. We do really appreciate the engagement. We've been getting a lot of awesome back and forth through Instagram. So follow us on GON Podcast wherever you currently browse the internet. We really do like to talk to and fro with you. Before we do... No, actually, we don't. Yeah, let's plug CHALKBOARD. CHALKBOARD's one of our partners. Hey, shout out CHALKBOARD. Thank you for being a sponsor of the show. If you aren't in CHALKBOARD, you should. It really is a cool app. It's entirely free. We've got over 300 people in the app. It's basically like a Discord meets Reddit for fantasy football. Not only can you gamble and do your bets through it, but you also have a community that we've created over the last 2 years where you can ask questions 24/7. Rocky's got his cheat sheets. Phil's got his picks. Mark does start and sits every week. It's really beneficial, and it's just good to have opinions to bounce back and forth from. So click the link in the bio, scan the QR code on screen, and join our CHALKBOARD forum. We'd like to see you there. And it helps the
get
show.
on the chalkboard. I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to.
Yeah, we want to really blow CHALKBOARD up.
Whoa. But in like a way that doesn't, like not like an airport thing. Like a
Come on.
Wow. Hey, can I shout out the builder of our podcast desk?
Sure. Is he going to pay us?
Maybe, but solid guy. His name is Jason. He's with podcasttables.shop. And it's an awesome desk. It feels freeing. I'm not going to lie. It feels like I'm a new man.
Yeah, look
New
at
man.
you.
So anyways, Jason, thanks. Great work, man. We appreciate you.
Thanks. And throw us a few bucks for doing that for you for free.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Alrighty, so the NFC South booms. The NFC South MVPs. The NFC South players you should draft on your fantasy football team. We shall start with the left of the table, as we traditionally do. Rocky, who's your NFC South MVP?
Got to find my notes here real quick. This is a wide receiver that was just recently traded, but if you look at it, Carolina really sought this person out. And his name is Deontay Johnson. I think he's going to have a real comeback season. Last year, he kind of got buried a little bit behind bad quarterbacking and also behind George Pickens, who was kind of really proving himself to be a great wide receiver. But if you take in his averages and then you just apply it in Carolina, he should get around 27% of Bryce Young's targets, which will equal about 153 targets in a 17-game season.
He is a PPR machine, too.
He's got an average yards per catch of over 12 yards, and he hauls in around 58% of his passes. And again, that was with some below-average quarterbacking in Pittsburgh over the last couple of years.
What's going on with your football?
He's happy. He's wagging his tail. Yeah.
You know, I can actually move him because I'm not standing on wood.
What is that noise?
That's all I was hearing too.
Yeah. Anyways, so I think he's going to pay real dividends, and I think I feel like it's a 90 reception season, about 1,080 yards, 6 TDs, which would have put him as the wide receiver 16 last year. But you're not having to draft him until the wide receiver 30 or beyond.
Oh, that's awesome.
So to me, it's a boom candidate, and I think he's got everything you need.
I love Deontay Johnson. I love the situation. Even with the young guy coming in, I do think Thielen is probably, looking at a bleak existence there. And I'm hearing good things about Bryce Young with the new system.
Yep.
They
got him some platform cleats.
I'll triple down on this positivity. I think it's a great pick. Every year I try and say, like, on record, guys that I'm like 100% circling on my draft boards. This year it is Deontay Johnson. Last year it was Brandon Ayuk, and then obviously Amon-Ra St. Brown. But like, definitely, of course, drafting Amon-Ra St. Brown when I could. For all the reasons you guys said, I really feel high on this guy. I think it's going to do well for sure.
And I will add, I thought about highlighting him. His ADP right now is 82 overall. So we're talking about firmly in the back end of the 7th round.
Yeah,
that's the 12-man. And
flashing lights draft Deontay Johnson at his ADP right now.
Strength of schedule this week for the position. They have the easiest.
Last place schedule.
This is like a red alert. Like, if you do anything, if you listen to our show or if you don't listen to our show, like, hear this clip, draft Deontay Johnson.
Yep.
Stamp of approval by the guys in sports.
And I think what all of us feel is Bryce Young might not be the most amazing quarterback, but he's going to show more positively this year than last year.
I'm cautiously optimistic about Bryce Young because I do think that, their last head coach, and I'm blanking on his name right now.
Frank Reich?
No.
The other guy?
Was it Frank Reich? Oh, yeah.
Before,
he was after. Yeah, wow.
Before the current guy. Yeah. He got fired last year.
I'm thinking of the guy that was there before Frank Reich, because Frank Reich, he was there for 1 year, right?
Wasn't it,
He was the college guy that they paid
Matt
like
Rule.
a boatload. Yeah,
Matt Rule. Yep.
So
And they had Steve Wicks for like a minute.
I think he's going to be a good quarterback. Bryce Young was pretty highly touted coming out of college. Besides the size thing, right?
That's it.
Being a short king.
Yeah. No, he was an accurate
I'm all about
passer.
short kings.
No, he was an accurate passer.
Yeah, I think they're going to. I mean, it's camp talk, right? So, but
they got him
apparently
some
he looks
platform cleats, I've heard.
That's good.
Yeah. So he's a couple
why
inches
not?
taller.
Women do it.
Yeah. Oh, I'm all in, man. Vanity. Do it.
Okay, so from one wide receiver to another, man. let me start this off by I want to qualify what I'm about to do because I'm gonna pit two teammates against each other.
Okay.
And one of the teammates I'm pitting against the other is a guy that I'm a firm supporter of, that I was banging the table for last year, and I still like him this year. But when we do these segments, I feel like we got to get down to the nitty gritty, and sometimes you're going to have to hurt feelings. So let me say, all respect in the world to Mike Evans. I love Mike Evans. He's a guy that I would pick up this year still, even with his ADP, depending on how things fell.
Probably sky high right now because of how he did last year.
Yes. So this is not to disparage Mike Evans. I think you got to look at your team when he's available, where he's going. His ADP right now is around 35. So back into the third round in 12-man, which is I'm going. I don't know what you guys are doing. I'm going 12-man league, PPR.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where kind of as a standard. So let's put that in perspective. Mike Evans right now, as opposed to last year where he was going about a round and a half later, maybe a little later, ADP is 35. His teammate, Godwin, is going at 76.
Jesus.
Almost in the middle of the seventh round. If we look at last year, Evans, 136 targets, Godwin had 130. The real difference in these guys last year, because he outgained him in yardage, Godwin did. The difference was in the touchdowns. Godwin had 2, and Mike Evans had 13.
Jeez.
Now, what I'm counting on here, and I'm willing to take the discount of 4 rounds to bet that Godwin gets 3 to 4 more, and Mike Evans gets 3 to 4 less, which would have put Mike Evans in the, around wide receiver 15, and that'll bump Godwin way up. And I think for what you're going to discount here, moving back 4 rounds to get a guy that's getting the same amount of targets as Mike Evans, who's going to go in the top 3. And if we talk about Godwin going back to the slot, where he probably had the best years of his career, I just think it's a no-brainer. So moving off Evans, who I still love, value was there last year. I think this year it kind of shifts to his teammate. And I think Godwin's a guy that you probably wind up at the end of the year, unless he gets injured, sliding in as your wide receiver 2 that you're grabbing in the 7th round.
Yeah, I mean, I like the value. I like the take on this. I'm becoming a Godwin fan. I traded for him in my Dynasty League and started him because of his usage, because you could just count on a few receptions. You can count on some yards. Like, that's okay. And the fact that he only had 2 touchdowns last year, we did a episode last year on regression to the mean and progression to the mean. Yeah, progression to the mean. He's gonna do a lot better, and I think it's a good pick.
Yeah, and I think it's specifically where you're getting him at.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah, because I do think
Deontay
you're right.
Johnson, Chris Godwin, I'll take those as my wide receiver 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Hot take.
And you'd feel good about it.
Well,
I feel great
I think
about that.
Godwin, you're right about him being great in the slot. I think last year, and if you look at Baker Mayfield as a career quarterback, that's not where he excelled, but it's his second year in the system. He's going to be more familiar with it. He's going to know where Godwin is. And last year it was easier for him to throw it deep to Mike.
Yeah.
But I think this year he's going to adjust back, and Godwin's going to be the guy too.
So, speaking of Baker Mayfield, in 2019, with the Browns. Baker Mayfield, do you remember what his wide receiver core was?
In 2019,
That was the year, I think. That was the big year.
that was Jarvis Landry, OBJ,
So Landry was out of the slot, right?
yeah, Njoku, yeah.
Landry's slot numbers that year, 83 receptions, just under 1,200 yards with 5 touchdowns.
Yep.
And if I get that,
Yep, out of
which
Godwin.
I think Godwin's better than Landry was at that point, I may be off.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair.
But, I mean, if I get that out of the 7th round, I'm happy as a fat kid at a cake factory, right? I mean, it's just, and it's there. So, I mean, it just shows you that Mayfield can throw it at Sockeye because that's what Landry was running at that time, right? So I like it.
Well, if you look at it, Mayfield came in 2018. 2019 was the year where he was getting used to how to play the slot in the NFL. And I think it's going to be a similar situation with Godwin. So
Godwin.
I like it.
Yeah, thumbs up.
You
All
heard
right.
it.
We love
you
you,
heard
Mike
it.
Evans.
Godwin.
So we talked about the Panthers. We talked about the Bucks. Gonna take our viewers to Atlanta, and this is a little chalk. But if I'm going chalk, like it's going to be worth it.
Okay.
Bijan Robinson, fantasy MVP of the NFC South, potential fantasy MVP of the entire league for a few different reasons. Some of them are obvious, so we won't spend too much time on them. Arthur Smith is gone. I'm sorry, Najee and Jalen Warren owners. You got to deal with that now that he's the OC for the Steelers. He did rank 31st in opportunity share and 32nd in red zone touches last year. Bijan Robinson ranked 32nd in red zone touches last year. That's obviously changing. He was above average in explosive run rate and yards after contact. Kirk Cousins is distributing the ball. Maybe Michael Penix, depending on injury. He has Pitts and London, who will do a lot better in that new offensive system with Kirk Cousins. They're going to make defenses honest. Last year, I feel like it was Bijan expecting to get the ball. I mean, his fantasy owners thought that, and defenses did too. It's going to be different now. I'd bet he'll be the running back one on the season over CMC and Brees Hall. I'm willing to hang my hat on that. So Bijan Robinson, cream of the crop for RBs in fantasy, in my opinion. Definitely a slam dunk for the MVP of this division.
I love Bijan, but here's where I had trouble with Atlanta as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
I think we could say so much about Bijan not getting opportunities. We could talk about Pitts not getting opportunities. Talk about London having a not so great year because of the quarterback deal. I didn't know who to pick. I didn't know who. Like, everybody's not going to have a great year.
You're saying, yeah, I get you.
Yeah, it may not
couldn't
be enough
pick-
balls to go around.
I couldn't pick who was the guy because I think they got to focus on getting Pitts the ball.
Okay.
And I think London is a star, and they're going to get him the ball. And I think Bijan is like an Adrian Peterson type of guy where he could probably, change the outlook of your team.
Mm-hmm.
So who's the one that's going to be the not getting the rock? That's what I'm worried about.
What do defensive head coaches like to do?
They like to run the ball. Yeah, no, I'm not pushing back on him.
No,
I'm just saying
saying
the problem I had with Atlanta.
I think
general.
the scale tips Bijan's way because of that it's a potentially run-heavy offense, or at least run-first offense.
Mm-hmm.
He did so. He wasn't utilized last year, so you're looking at rookie legs as well. And Kyle Pitts has been wishy-washy with a bunch of different types of opportunities, let alone one last year. Drake London, who I do like, I think is worth it, especially in Dynasty. He can thrive if it's also with Bijan, but I think
Kyle Pitts is the top three tight end this year.
Ooh.
Kyle Pitts, for yards per route run last year, trailed only Travis Kelce. He has more talent than that skill room. I'll just say Kyle Pitts, I think, out of the shadow of Arthur Smith, top three tight end.
Yeah.
I think it's writing's on the wall for him.
I'm going to say...
That's what scares me about that team, though.
I'm going to say with Kirk Cousins, and I think that they're, obviously going to adjust their offense because the dead weight is gone. Thank God he's in Pittsburgh. Hopefully that helps the Browns. But I think Kirk Cousins is great at distributing the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So I do think that Robinson will get not only rushing attempts, but also catch
big
the
time.
ball quite a bit too.
Yeah.
I think the issue with Pitts, and I think you bring up a great point, is that I've never seen a person misused more than Kyle Pitts. They ran him as a wide receiver.
What's his drop rate?
Well, I don't know that offhand, but I'm sure we can look. But
yeah, we could talk. Look it up.
I just think that they ran him. I think they did damage to him, and if they just run him as a traditional tight end, like a Travis Kelce or even an Evan Ingram, I think he's got those possibilities. I think he's got those numbers.
He had a 47% catch rate in 2022 and then a 59% catch rate in 2023.
Yeah, so he improved.
Solid.
Yeah, and he had 1,000-yard receiving
just-
season his rookie year.
I want to know who's Arthur Smith getting the ball to, because
It was Cordell Patterson and whoever the wide receiver 3.
was Tyler
probably.
Algier, too.
Like Olamide
Yeah.
Zaccheaus when he was on the Falcons.
you ready for this? Kyle Pitts was 34th in red zone targets last year.
Yeah.
You're talking about the guy that you drafted in the first round, the big body, athletic,
Guess
freak
what?
tight end.
Bijan was 32nd. Arthur Smith does not like giving the ball to the players that they invested in heavily in the first round.
And that's why, like, I
a
found
fact at
that
this point.
I found that move, like Pittsburgh, is acting like they found gold. And I
Yeah.
just don't. I mean, is he a better offensive coordinator
Well,
when he's only responsible for that side?
I think it maybe because the Steelers haven't invested first round talent in their offense. So you're looking at Najee and Jalen Warren, who I think are pretty even, are going to be used evenly. And now it's
so you don't need a
Pickens as a
yeah.
star, but
Yeah.
a little cherry on top for the Bijan Robinson fantasy MVP of the world coming up is Kirk Cousins made Dalvin Cook's best years were with Kirk Cousins when he was in his prime.
Who?
Dalvin Cook.
Okay, yeah.
So that's just like on top of all the other things that factor.
TJ Hawkinson?
Well, yeah, you're right. That factor alone isn't enough to like tip the scale, but that on top of the other shit that we've talked about for the last like 5 minutes or so is why I think Bijan Robinson is 100% worth it in the first round.
Yeah, I don't think you could go wrong here. I think it's just a roll of the dice of who's not going to. I think two of those guys are going to have great seasons, and one of them's going to have a solid season.
Correct.
I just don't know who's who.
I mean, well, and I'm trying to think back to last year.
Well, I mean, but yeah, sorry.
because I mean, Addison and Jefferson both had really good
then-
seasons.
But their running back didn't. So like
Yeah.
you're still right
Yeah.
with what you're saying.
But Cook had a great year with Cousins, right? At the same time that Diggs and Thielen did, and all. Yeah,
that's fair actually. Yeah, that's
so
a good
I
point.
mean, it could happen.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we just talked about the NFC South MVPs. Now we're going into the NFC South LVPs, the busts of this division, who we think you should not be drafting.
Well, can I?
Yes.
I want to really focus. I mean, we probably should have did this a while ago, but focus on the LVP because I think I know my picks typically have to do with the value.
Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
just like a guy. Like a guy might not suck, but for what you're
I
gonna.
think it
have to,
encapsulates it because we mentioned ADP in the other.
Well, I
segment.
think that there's a difference. Like you can think it's going to be a bust because of where you're having to draft
Yeah,
him,
okay.
or you can think he's just going to be a bust.
Yeah.
So I probably my bad.
No, it could be both.
Sorry.
Yeah.
right.
I hate doing this because if you guys have watched our show at all, I have a song about this man. I love Adam Thielen. I feel like he has overproduced.
You love Cousins too. What's up with you?
Hey, they're just those players are built a certain way,
Yeah.
Cornbread. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, Adam Thielen.
real locker room
I
guys.
love this guy. I'm sad to say this. He actually did have a good season. I had him in my.
He had a first good 9 weeks.
There you go. Thielen was one of the best wide receivers in fantasy football for the first half of the seasons. He averaged 20.2 fantasy points in the first 7 games. After that, the
It's like
wheels
double his
fell
age,
off.
or half his age.
Yeah. After that, the wheels fell off. He dropped to 8.9 points per game in the final 10 contest. Aside from that, Carolina traded for Deontay Johnson, and they drafted Xavier Legette. I just can see Thielen struggling in this offense.
Big time.
I think he's going to see his target share drop. And he's entering his age 34 season. So to me, unless he falls and it's a late round selection, which is what it was last year for me.
Yeah.
Unless you're getting him as a very late round, I think he's going to underproduce.
Yeah, I think they're kicking him out of town, and it's funny because he signed because he wants to win a Super Bowl, but not with Carolina.
Yeah, maybe you should have rethought that.
Yeah. I agree with this.
What do we know his ADP or no?
No, I didn't. I got him last year in the 9th round of a traditional reboot draft. And I felt like that was, and he first 7 games was receiver
He was probably
1-1.
worth it, even though he sucked down the stretch.
Yeah, because even his suck, he was still getting me 9 points, and I had drafted him as a third receiver.
I mean, you get 9 weeks in a 13-week season. That's pretty nice.
Yeah.
His ADP right now is 153.
That's not terrible. That's what are we talking about? Like the 13th round?
Yeah, and
Yeah, give or take.
and so I would take him there.
Yeah, I would take him there too.
Yeah. But I still
Think
think,
about your 5th wide out there,
yeah.
Yeah.
rolling dice.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah.
But I hate saying it. I like Adam Thielen a lot. He's had a great
he-
career.
Someone
doing
you can
it to
probably
a
go get a
brother,
beer
yeah.
with.
Yeah.
Well, I could have a beer with anybody.
Walk down the street with the guy.
Oh, I could
Yeah.
walk down the street with
Leave your
anybody.
kids with him. That kind of trust them.
Oh, I'd leave my kids with almost anybody.
Okay. Anyway, so from one Panther to another
Boy,
group.
Panther. We're Panther heavy.
Well,
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
lot to talk about
Sex
here.
Panther.
Let me say.
Well, there it is.
Let me say this. This might be one of the most disappointing position rooms in the NFL. I mean, I'm going to read a list of names here, and you're going to think I'm reading back my fantasy roster from like 2021. I got Miles Sanders. I got Chuba Hubbard.
Go Birds.
I got Tariq Cohen. I got Rashad Penny. All in
Dang,
the building.
go
All
Birds.
that camp. Miles Sanders, who they gave
A boatload of money, too.
boatload of money to and lost his job to Chuba Hubbard, who was on the roster already. And let's not get into Chuba Hubbard, 32nd in missed tackles
Chuba
last
Hubbard.
year, 31st in yards after contact, just a super pedestrian running back. And then you bring in Tariq Cohen and Rashad Penny to compete.
Hey, I got something to say.
Hold on. I say stay clear of all these guys. Don't get lured in by maybe Miles Sanders has something. Chuba Hubbard had a few. Chuba Hubbard had a few games where he scored points. He was so inefficient. Like they just had just pounding the ball to him and to even get
Yeah.
anything.
It was
you
hard
know,
watching the Carolina
so
Panthers
bad.
on offense last year.
But the offensive line was terrible, too.
That's right. Well,
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't overhaul the whole thing, did
No.
they? So I will say one little caveat here. I don't know if this is what you're going to say, but if you're in a dynasty or slow play it, keep your eyes on the waiver wire. Go snatch up Johnny Boy Brooks halfway through the season because he's probably going to be the starter by the end of the year.
Yeah. I was going to say something a little lighthearted of the fact that, hey, Tariq Cohen, rooting for the guy. Pretty cool.
I'm rooting for Tariq Cohen,
Would be
too,
cool
yeah.
to see him there. And Rashad Penny's got fresh legs to sign with the Eagles and didn't play a snap last year for us. So
That's probably good.
Watch out.
And,
Probably a
and-
good thing.
Yeah, and honestly, the Eagles could have used some help running. So the fact that they didn't use him,
yeah.
I mean, it says a lot.
Yeah. And also, Miles Sanders, don't you regret your choice? You should have stayed with the Eagles, take your pay cut. But now we have Saquon Barkley, who you played behind him in Penn State. So, you played your cards wrong.
I think I'm happy you brought up Jonathan Brooks. That is my one caveat.
Johnny Boy Brooks.
Johnny Boy Brooks.
Yeah, don't forget that.
Every year since
He's from
2012, 2 rookie running backs have finished in the top 20. Somebody's going to do it this year.
Will Shipley.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Oh, possible. I think he's got
Highly
an
improbable.
opportunity
He's got-
depending on how quickly he comes
He's got a
back.
pretty clear path here.
Yeah,
Yeah, if he's
yeah.
healthy,
Blake
yeah.
Corum.
Yeah.
No, I honestly, you can't really say that about any of these running backs this year. It's got to be
There's
Johnny Boy
nobody-
Brooks.
None
There's
of
the
those
guy from
names I
FSU,
read-
Trey Burks.
Yeah, potentially Trey Burks. Yeah.
Yeah.
If Chuba Hubbard beats you out,
Chuba.
Then you deserve to retire.
then Johnny Boy Brooks can beat you out. Gunslinging Johnny Boy Brooks.
Johnny
from
Boy
Oh,
Texas.
you're talking over Miles Sanders. See, I am still probably going to take a late round flyer on Miles Sanders.
That's
Yeah,
'cause
it
you're
sounds
just
about
dumb,
right.
The money's still there for him.
If Alshon Jeffrey was in camp right now, you trade for him.
I don't.
Yeah,
No,
he
I
would.
wouldn't.
You think about
Thought
it.
about it. thought about it.
He would. He would.
All right. Okay. I'm kind of behind that one. As far as all of these takes that we've had this episode, that one's right here for me because of Miles Sanders. I still got a little bit of hope.
That makes me feel good about it.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm kind of hoping that you go heavy on Miles Sanders in most of our drafts this year.
Invest
Yeah.
heavily in Miles Sanders.
Well, I traded his ass away in our dynasty league. We're sticking with the Carolina Panthers for these LVPs.
He's also got an injured heel right now.
Yeah, that's great. Good. It's good for that take.
That's why he sucks.
Unfortunately, we're just piling on the Panthers, and I'm going to talk about Jonathan Mingo being the least valuable player from the NFC South fantasy football wise. it's what happened around him, and we've talked about this a lot. I mean, Deontay Johnson, we covered. He's going to be great. I do believe Bryce Young is going to be better, as Phil mentioned already.
Bryce Young?
But, huh?
That did sound like you said Bryce Young.
Bryce Young? I'm not Asian.
Okay. What?
Yeah.
You just said Haitian.
Was that an Asian thing you're doing?
No,
there?
you said hung and then you said Haitian.
Like Bryce Young?
Maybe you're messing up the H's.
Yeah, I'm hearing H's coming
I think
out
I
of your
just
lips.
mumble a little bit
Hung,
on my
Haitian.
extremely confident takes,
Hung,
which one of these
Haitian.
is.
So you hear hung, you think Asian.
I thought you were doing a thing there.
I wasn't doing anything.
Anyways,
that's
maybe that's
Mark.
trauma from
No, that's
elementary school. Yeah, Mark's not here. Mark's in the shadows today.
Yeah.
Bryce Young is going to see. Did I do it again? Bryce Young is going to be better, but not good enough to bring Jonathan Mingo into fantasy relevance. Xavier Legette, we said on a previous episode, or really Phil said that he could be, or at least shows the potential to be AJ Brown in Tennessee. I think that's a real possibility as well. 18th in route separation, 90th among wide receivers in fantasy points per game at 4.2. Nothing to excite me. They just drafted his replacement, and Xavier Legette, fun guy to root for, so there's that as well. Jonathan Mingo shouldn't be anywhere near your draft boards. Extremely least valuable player. So I've got an extreme MVP and an extreme LVP for you guys today.
Really sucks because I was high on Jonathan Mingo last year.
Yeah.
Bad take on my part.
No, I don't think it was a bad take as
No,
much
bad take.
as that
Super-
was a
super bad
team.
take.
Bad take.
No, that was a team where
Bro doesn't
good
know
players
ball.
went to die last year. I feel like they just had nothing going on.
Yeah.
And now I think he's buried under the fact that they traded for a clear 1-1 and Xavier Legette,
And,
who
you know,
a lot of people are high on.
we're shitting on the Panthers, but they did bring, I forget his name, but the offensive coordinator for the Bucs is now their head coach. That's going to pay dividends for them. I mean, Deontay Johnson's going to be good. We think, Bryce Young will be a little bit better. Jonathan Brooks is worth a waiver add in fantasy redraft, and then definitely dynasty going in the first round. That's the Panthers in a nutshell, essentially. And that's the show.
Well, I got one more thing. And I don't know if you guys are going to join me in it.
I got an extra thing, but it's not the same thing.
Okay, good. But you got an extra thing. I like that
There you
because
go.
I don't want to rob all the joy. This is
Thief of joy.
this is a very, it's a segment that people look for. They tune in just to get it.
Yeah,
And it's
every
a
week.
deep draft dynasty player.
It's a mouthful.
I'm going to talk about this guy.
It's
Is
a
this
triple
guy
D. Deep
is
draft dynasty.
Diners, drive-ins, and dives.
Triple DP. That's what that
Listen.
is. Diners,
Oh.
or it's a deep dynasty draft player. It's a triple DP.
Yeah.
Yep.
Rocky's triple
D.
DP.
I'm going to start driving in a Camaro, old Camaro. Listen, we're
Frosted tips.
going to talk about Spencer Rattler. Is he a punk? Maybe. Is he immature? Very likely. But is he able to perform 100%? His first season in Oklahoma, 1,490 yards and limited duty, 11 touchdowns, 5 interceptions, rushed for 3 touchdowns. He got replaced by Caleb Williams, who everybody is claiming is the next Andrew Luck or Peyton Manning or Trevor Lawrence. So it wasn't his fault that he got replaced. And what did he do? He went to South Carolina, killed it there his last season, set a school record, completing almost 70% of his passes for 3,200 yards, 19 touchdowns with only 8 interceptions, and he rushed for another 4 touchdowns. He reminds me of a poor man's Patrick Mahomes. He doesn't rush like Lamar Jackson, but he rushes enough. He gets around the pocket in order to find a lane and throw a pass. He was the number 1 quarterback coming out of high school when he came out. And he just got kind of like buried around a bad image that he had from TD1 or QB1, the show where he kind of appeared to be a jerk. But I think I can tell you in every draft I am drafting him and stashing him on my bench. I think there's a clear path that he could even start this year in New Orleans.
100%.
And I think he's got some targets in New Orleans. I don't think it's a terrible. I think
they have a good wide receiver core.
yeah, and Kamara is one of the better receiving backs. So I love the Rat.
That's funny. You segued me. Perfect. So I'm going to talk about an old friend here.
Oh.
Alvin Kamara. I don't want people to forget about Alvin Kamara. He's going 47 overall. That's 17th among running backs. But last year, his numbers are down. His explosive numbers are down. But what he did do last year is in 13 games played, he still finishes RB11. And out of 60 qualifying backs, he ranked first in target share.
With a suspension too, right?
Yep, 18.1% target share as a running back and 16 yards per route run. So he's still going to be super valuable.
Yeah, pretty solid.
In PPR. And to get him at the end of the 4th round, if he can perform in that, I mean, if he's being taken as RB17 and in 13 games he was RB11 last year.
Yeah.
If he can stay healthy, I think it's a fair enough chance, depending on what you got on your roster already, you might want to grab him. And don't forget about
Chris Olave.
No, Keandre Miller.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I actually
might be a
did
nice
like
stash.
Miller quite a bit. And I will say Kamara did kind of like his yards per rush were going down a little bit, but I couldn't tell if that was the line, if he was injured.
Yeah.
It just,
Coming
off
suspension.
Derek
Yeah.
Carr being Derek Carr.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah. But that being said, I agree with what you're saying, and I do like Kendrick
Miller?
Kendrick
Lamar?
Kendre Miller.
K-Dot.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hope you're right with Spencer Rattler because I drafted him and I have no QB2 in my Dynasty League. That's a super flex. I only have Mahomes, so it would be cool to have 2 Mahomes.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I think that is the show. Thank you for sticking around and watching. We really hope you enjoyed this episode of Guys on Sports. Drop a comment about anything. We would appreciate it. Like this episode. Subscribe to the channel. Check out Guys on Draft, which is our other show. We will see you on the next one. Follow us on G1 Podcasts, and peace.
Peace.